Just saying.
There you go.
Woohoo!
We ready?
What happened to my lower third?
It's there.
Don't
Perfect.
Don't hit. I hit enter now. It's all gone on there.
No, we see it.
This is stupid.
In 1963, Martin Luther King had his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. And I have a dream that we're going to have a good podcast. This is Eric Van Johnson, episode 63 of PHP Ugly.
He asks why you and I, John, can't do a podcast without him when he's got something that
we can't come up with something because we can't come up with something to embarrass ourselves.
Right. We're not willing to do it the way he is.
Also, side note, in 1963, JFK was assassinated. I am hoping episode 63 goes a little better than that, but welcome, gentlemen. Thomas Rideout, John Congdon.
Hello.
How are we doing?
I'm
getting better.
Feeling good.
Yeah, John was on his deathbed. I wasn't sure if John was going to make it back to San Diego. He was on his
Enough about my deathbed.
He was on his deathbed in Atlanta.
Yeah. He took a vacation and then brought his family and then got sick.
It wasn't much of a vacation.
So,
I can tell you that much.
I said that right from the moment you said your family was coming with you.
That I was going to get sick?
No, that it wasn't going to be much of a vacation.
Yeah. He forgets I love my family.
I'm taking a vacation soon. Sending all 3 of my kids to California. And the wife and I are staying home.
We just got rid of them. You can't send them back already.
Well, they're not going to be around you.
They'll be in my state.
Grandma, Grandpa?
Yeah, Grandma, Grandpa, and Bio Dad.
That sounds like a
superhero.
Sounds like a superhero.
I can assure you it is not a superhero.
The Adventures of Bio Dad.
Hey, don't drive our only listener away. That'd be bad.
I did a sound effect. You guys didn't hear it.
Yeah.
We need to move.
Oh,
we need
the
to
sound
move.
effects are the worst.
Sound effects are awesome.
No.
Yeah. You loved them. And they brought so much to the show.
They brought so much additional editing to the show.
No, they edit themselves. They're perfect. All right, last week, PHP Tech. We missed you, Tom.
It didn't seem like it. I saw the tweets. Up on stage, getting hugs, doing a round table.
Yeah, that was fun.
Gosh.
That was fun.
I want to go that far.
Oh, you stop it, Congdon. You're why nobody talks to us at these events. It
was great being up there. I just wish I had more to contribute to it.
It was actually I don't perform on stage too often, and just the setup was difficult. Like John wasn't feeling good. He had a sinus infection, so his ability to hear conversations was already compromised. But if the way we were set up, we were all sitting up on stage. There was Sammy K and Amanda to our right. A guest we were bringing up to have a conversation was also between ourselves and Amanda and Sammy. So he was to our right, and then John was to my left. And if any conversation was being had to the right, like if the guest was turned to their right speaking to Sammy and Amanda, John and I could not hear what was being discussed, or
And-
I couldn't hear what was being discussed at all.
And the fact that Sammy and Amanda normally do an interview show where they have those types of conversations, they seem to be way more prepared with questions and what to talk about. So we were kind of like just last minute people there.
Yeah,
To be fair, that sounds about right for us.
Yeah.
and that's what I told him. This is pretty much how our show goes, anyways. We just mumble through about an hour worth of airtime, and
I like
wrap
that you had
it
to
up.
explain to him what our show was like, since no one's heard it.
Nobody, absolutely nobody. I put out there a few times that I had stickers. Nobody cared. Absolutely.
really?
The stickers I gave out, they just gave back. They're like, I don't want this. Just handed it back to
Exactly.
me.
I found a
Oh,
couple being used as coasters. It was hurtful.
so
was
crushing.
Yeah, no, nobody knew who we were. Sammy K was actually surprised. He was like, "Holy crap, you guys have so many shows recorded." I'm like, "Yeah, we do," but yet nobody has heard of us.
Thanks for putting it that way. That's
Yeah, thanks for reminding me how much work and effort I put into this for
Yeah.
absolutely nobody's pleasure but my own. So.
that's like just walking up to an old person and saying, "Wow, you really haven't achieved much, have you? Even though it's been all these years."
You're really old and
Yeah.
just haven't really accomplished anything,
No one
have you?
even knows you're around. It's almost like a skill on its own.
But PHP Tech was fun. Same complaint I always have about a conference, the PHP Tech conference specifically, is that they line up too many good talks against each other. And so there were a couple times where I'm sitting there looking at the schedule. I'm like, I have to make decisions here. I'm not going to see 2 out of the 3 talks I want to see right now, and
But
that's always
that
my
is-
biggest complaint.
That's one nice thing about going with the two of us, though. We were able to split up at times and attend a couple different ones.
Yeah.
What I found interesting was I attended more database talks than really anything else.
Yep, I agree. I found myself more drawn to the database talks as well. As a matter of fact, Lorna Mitchell. Yeah. First thing, I'd been a fan of hers, or a stalker of hers on public media for a while. Follow her on Twitter. Like a lot of what she has to say. She did a talk specifically on a solution that John and I have been looking at for a while, CouchDB, that really helped. And she took the time after her talk to answer some questions from me. It was great talking to her. But yeah, she really solidified CouchDB as being a solution that we're going to be working with moving forward. Just out of the conversations we had with her and working through some of the challenges that we had with it, looking at it on our own. So it was good. That was really pleasant.
Thomas will like this though. So that talk was like the first one of the first day.
Right.
On Thursday, Friday, every time Lorna saw Eric, she kind of turned and walked the other way.
Yeah,
So-
Nice.
avoiding eye contact, moving away, a lot of shuffling away from me.
Yeah, you got to teach them early who the predators are.
I definitely felt there was some chemistry there. Yeah. Chemistry.
Volatile reactions.
Yeah.
That's a chemistry thing, right?
Did I ever tell you my idea? I know I've shared it with John. I don't know if I've ever shared it with you, Thomas. My idea for combating the multiple tracks that you want to attend issue. We've talked for a long time about wanting to hold a conference here in San Diego, and I haven't necessarily given up on the idea. I think we'll still kind of attempt it at some point. I can see it happening. But I shared with John, I'm like, I think that if a conference is going to be a 2 or 3 day conference, you try to make it a 4 or 5 day conference and then repeat the track. So ask each presenter if they would be willing to do the same talk twice. Do it once at the beginning of the conference and once at the end of the conference. That way, if somebody had to make a decision about what track to attend, they have a second opportunity to attend that track.
So I'll propose this to you though. Do you want to record a podcast tomorrow again?
I don't understand how that's related, but I do record multiple podcasts a day, yes, because people like hearing my voice. I do it on the Quality podcast, Lair Chat Live, and I do it on this one. So
Okay, well, you
what's
might
your
be the
point?
exception. You might be the exception to the rule then.
I don't think it would be asking too much, especially if you're paying flight and hotel. I mean, it's an hour. It's an hour talk. You're doing the exact same material. I don't see how that would be asking too much. Are you claiming that would be asking too much from a presenter?
But how demoralizing would it be to you have maybe 15, 20 people in your first talk and like 2 in your second because they've already seen it?
That would be fine. I don't think that would be demoralizing at all. People went and saw it the first time.
I don't know if it would work for the first year of a San Diego tech meetup. You'd be convincing a lot of people to do something that might not be easy.
I'm missing the point. I don't see why it's not easy. It seems super freaking simple.
Well,
Matter of fact,
John for
your
example.
Second talk would be better, right? Because you've worked through your nerves. You've done the first talk. You've kind of gotten a feel for everything. Second talk is even easier. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this.
No, but keep in mind that the conferences often have the same speaker give 2 different talks to cut down on cost of travel and hotel. So now you're going to ask them to do 4 talks?
That's right.
That and remember that the San Diego meetup was being discussed a lot before John decided to start go and impregnate women willy-nilly. And once he had fatherly duties, it made it very difficult for him to do anything.
Yeah, but I think we'll get back to it. We've actually been in discussions with somebody that was putting on the Texas conference, Lone Star. Yeah. So just getting advice and things to start looking for. So we may still do that soon or later.
Well, if you've got it, I'll show up.
Will you give 2 talks? In fact, the same talk twice?
No, I won't. I won't talk at all. I'll just show up.
You'll
pay for a ticket.
Double.
No, I'll do a talk.
Double.
We can do the full 1 hour doom and gloom.
It's fine. We're looking for quality talks. It's okay.
So quality talks and then twice.
And then twice. Yep.
You're thinning the herd quickly.
Nope. I don't think so. I think it needed to be asked. I don't think I'm asking for a lot at all. I think it's simple, easy peasy. Hey, our numbers are up. Check it out. Our PHP Round Ugly Hall is our most listened to podcast now.
Where are you seeing this at?
Simplecast. Actually, that's not true. Wanna Cry Babies is still got a few more listens to it.
So I don't know if admin. I don't have admin access.
Yeah, you do. You got to go to simplecast.com. I don't know, buddy. No, did I say .fm? I said simplecast.com.
Yeah. And we don't have to do it during the show. Let's keep moving. That's what I'm saying.
So, all around PHP tech was good. Yep, I enjoy it. I didn't get the community warm and fuzzies I normally do at PHP Tech, but it might have been because I wasn't paying enough attention to some of the extracurricular activities. But yeah, it was good. A lot of great quality talks.
It's always nice having an open bar and pizza provided at night for those things. It would have been nice. It's hard with having the family there, so couldn't really get away for the extracurricular. Like, would love to go to the board game night.
You weren't the only family, though. You weren't the only. That is one thing I noticed this year different. There were a lot of people there with kids, like the after hour kind of gatherings. There were a lot of kids there.
Yeah. Actually, Jeremy Kent, local guy, showed up with his family. I knew he was going to be there, but I didn't know
That
his
guy.
family was going to be there.
That guy. They'll let anybody in those conferences.
Well,
Give him
fortunately,
money.
while you guys were gone, literally nothing happened at all.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Oh, wait,
Oh, I'm
before
sorry.
we move on, hold on. So we've moved away a little bit from what the show is. We're not a news reporting show. I keep saying this. We put the news in here as a filler because we run out of things to talk about. But we're developers who are supposed to be talking about work and what's going on in our community. I do want to take a moment and thank Marcus Moore for covering our local San Diego Laravel user group while I was going out. Actually, he's been covering it for the last 3 months now. I haven't been to a Laravel meetup in a while because I was in Arizona and things just keep coming up. And Marcus has been keeping the wheels turning, and he did it again once more for me last week while I was in Atlanta at PHP Tech and set up a presentation. He even did the presentation last week, which was nice. So I want to thank Marcus Moore for keeping the wheels going in the Laravel community here in San Diego.
Do you
He
have
is a
a do you
good
have an
guy.
applause? Do you have an applause sound that you can play that we can't hear?
Let me see. I think I have something. No.
All right, too
I
long.
have Batman. Hold on. Batman transaction. Hold on. Wait.
That's a fidget spinner.
There we go. Nope. You screwed it up. You always talk over my... Here, when you see me give this physical indicator, it means I'm playing a sound effect. You fucked it up again. You keep talking every time I do a sound effect. Here, let's try it again.
Oh my.
There we go. Now you got it.
Jeez.
Except we can't hear it.
I know.
So now, I
It's not
follow
like you
somebody on
listen
Twitter
to the
that
show either. You don't listen.
I follow somebody on Twitter that I haven't heard from that I expected to hear from this week. Your daughter, is she still working hard?
Oh, that's so nice of you to ask. No. So part of it's my fault. I snatched my laptop when I went to Atlanta. That was the laptop she was using to do her coding. She has, for probably the last year and a half, been living off of a Chromebook, and quite successfully, I might add, for school, for personal consumption of videos and stuff. She's been using a Chromebook. She discovered some of the limitations of the Chromebook when she started coding. There are services out there I could have tried to get her set up on, and quite frankly, I was lazy. When it came time to leave, I just didn't get around to trying to get her set up on it. That would have allowed her to keep doing some development. But yeah, I took the laptop, so she wasn't able to do her development, and then she hasn't asked for it back. She hasn't spent any time with me this week. So she says she wants to get back to it. She actually just mentioned it to me yesterday that if it would be okay if she sat in my office and did some work. But no, she has yet to return to it. I don't want to be too pushy, but I'm hopeful she will get back to it.
Good.
Yeah. Thanks for asking, though. I appreciate that. Milo the Coder on Twitter, if anybody's interested. My young, well, not so young anymore, 19-year-old daughter in her foray into coding.
So there's somebody else I follow on Twitter.
Okay.
One Mr. Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. He might have a few more followers than my daughter.
A couple more.
It's Milo the Coder. Not finding her.
Milo _the_coder.
You didn't say underscore.
And I believe it's MILO.
Yeah.
MILO _THE_COD.
Because my son's name is Milo. MYLO.
MYLO. Oh, I've never seen it.
So Elon Musk.
I actually don't like the name Milo. I do the whole Indiana Jones with her on that. I'm like, we named the dog Milo, but Milo's not
I'm
a name
sure
we
that
gave her.
I'm sure that
it's a
hasn't
name her
impacted her growth at all.
All right, name the dog Indy. That was one of my favorite lines. Okay,
So
what Elon? What did this guy do? Anything productive?
yeah, a lot of people gave him crap because when our current president took office, Elon Musk joined his council to give his advice and aid, etc. And he threatened to leave Donald Trump's council if Donald Trump was going to exit the Paris Climate Accord, which he's done. So now Elon Musk is out. And as of our recording, so is the CEO or the president, I think, of Disney.
Oh, okay. I heard the CEO of Exxon was very unhappy with Trump as well, which is kind of you would think it would be kind of ironic, but as the article stated, it actually made a lot of sense because by exiting that, they've lost any leverage or any influence they might have on that committee. So I guess Big Oil was even encouraging Trump not to leave. They're like, hey, we want you to be part of this. It's important to us.
Right. And I've watched some pretty extensive breakdowns about the implications of leaving the Paris Accord, and it's not good. But I think Elon Musk decided that he didn't have enough say in the council if that was going to be the decision, and so it didn't matter at that point, anyways. So,
all right.
World's falling apart.
Just what are your guys' opinions on that action? Do you think he should have stuck around and try to manipulate the system from the inside, or was this more of was this statement more impactful?
I think his time is money, more so than almost anybody else in the entire world right now. And if he's not going to be listened to, then it's not worth his money.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So I'm a huge fan of Elon Musk. He's generally seems like a good guy, and he is pushing humanity ever forward. And it's a bummer that he had to take this position in the first place. It's always weird to me when someone has to stand up for the planet, because that seems like sort of a given.
Yeah.
But
all right, what else we got?
Boy, you know what? I here's the thing: is you guys were gone for a week.
Yeah.
And that meant that I was in charge of the Trello board.
And
it got dark.
Job.
It got real dark.
Yeah. Here, I got one for you. Here, this is John's doom and gloom. John's got some doom and gloom for you.
Oh,
I noticed that. I'm proud.
I think one day we should all print out the YouTube channels that we subscribe to just to see how embarrassing things can be.
Oh yeah, you don't want to see mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's pretty twisted.
Mine's
odd.
I've published mine. I've sent mine to Eric.
Yeah,
he just said I don't get it. Yeah. I sent you Funhouse and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're weird.
Yes.
Yeah,
Good.
I would say I actually, oddly enough, as much as I don't play games, I follow a lot of gaming streamers online. So I don't play games, but I enjoy watching people play them. So there's a lot of that. There's a new guy. Man, I can't remember his name. He's started publishing all these Vim videos. I'm watching all these videos on Vim again. But yeah, I've got some weird taste in my YouTube. But I will say this. I am quickly noticing that I'm watching way more YouTube than I think consuming any other visual media.
Oh, absolutely. Same here.
Yeah, Hulu, regular television. I will sit here and watch YouTube for a very long time. What's the one I love? You guys ever watch Jesus, it's my favorite YouTube channel, the Hot Wing Challenge.
Hot One.
Hot One. Yes. Oh my gosh, I love that one, man. That's one of the ones that I actually get an alert when he publishes a new video. I love Hot Ones. I want to be famous enough to be on Hot Ones one day. That's my whole goal in life now.
You guys ever watch ClickSpring?
Nope.
No.
It's a guy just machining a clock out of brass. A precision. It is stunning. Anyways, what YouTube channel do you watch there, John?
So I subscribe to some poker channels, and I actually learned something about security from a poker player, which I don't know why. It's not like I think poker players are dumb, but I just wouldn't expect to learn.
You heard it here, folks.
From
John thinks poker players are dumb.
Tweet it out. Hashtag John's an ass.
Way to twist my words.
Thank you.
So somebody else tweeted out something I said against the fig, which is a whole nother story. We'll talk about that later. Anyway, yeah.
So we're getting back to that one. Go down your poker face video here.
So anyway, this Doug Polk posted a video about some poker players that have been getting hacked recently, and it was about being very targeted. So whoever was hacking them was getting these people's information, going as far as, I guess, phone carriers are not secure, where you basically, if you're savvy enough, you can call up and basically steal anybody's phone number.
Yeah, really easily.
So,
and in doing so, make it harder for them to get it back than it was for you to get it in the first place.
Right. And so I use Authy. I like Authy for various reasons, but he brings up a good point. If somebody is savvy enough to steal your phone, they now get access to they can get access to your Authy account. So even if you have two-factor authentication enabled, again, they have to also have your password. So there's other things they have to go through. But one of the things that Authy provides you is the ability to recover your codes, where Google Authenticator, you can't. Right. So
right.
It was just interesting to me. And then
I did watch that video, John, and he actually brought up a point that I never even thought of. And when he was talking through the story, I thought of it when he was talking through the story. Then he circled specifically on this topic, but he mentioned, and we talked about this, I think last week or the last time we got together and did a podcast, Thomas. He mentioned getting a Google Voice number, because, like I said, if somebody had targeted, if somebody were to target me based on my phone number, I don't give out my actual cell phone number. I give out my Google Voice number, so they would never be able to reset my SIM or reset my number. If they were to figure out what carrier I had and tried calling them to get the PIN reset for the number, they wouldn't be able to do it because the number that I actually use is not my number from my carrier.
Yeah, same here. I use Google Voice as my primary number too.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, that's actually another layer of security that I never really looked at that as a layer of security, but I suppose it is.
Yeah. And the other thing he talked about that I thought was very interesting was if you have Bitcoin, they have this Trezor, basically a USB device, is a cold storage for your Bitcoin. You store it on there, you unplug it, and
cold wallet.
Basically it's secure at that point. I thought that was very neat.
Dude, have you looked at Bitcoin lately? I know you were in Bitcoin. You were like really heavy into Bitcoin for a while. Have you looked at your wallets lately?
I had. It's been a couple of months, but I was big into Bitcoin
really
when it shot up to 1,100, and then it dropped back down to like 200. I was disenfranchised for a while, but it's it's caught back up to where it was at that point.
No, it has. It's at 27 right now.
It's yeah.
Oh, what?
Dude, look
It's
at
at
your
2,700 right now.
Wow.
This is what so way back, like a couple years ago, John got me interested in this currency, this digital currency, and Bitcoin being specifically the one. So for a while, I had a set amount, like it was only like $5 or something, going into Bitcoin for every month. I forget what it was, and so yeah, I was slowly buying it, and I still don't own a full Bitcoin, but I own a good portion of a Bitcoin. And eventually, I'm like, I seem to be just tossing money out the window here. It was only $5 a week, but I still stopped doing it. But I totally forgot about the accounts. Like I didn't withdraw the money out. I let the money sit there and forgot about it. And again, never even reached a full Bitcoin. But I logged into my wallet the other day, and I was like blown away with how much that amount of Bitcoin I had is now worth. I'm like, holy crap! I can actually buy something with this now. So, John, I encourage you to check your wallets out, and looking into a cold wallet might not be a bad idea, to be honest with you.
They're $180.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
I heard the podcast. I heard it mention it, and I was going to look at it. I hadn't, but with what you have in Bitcoin now, you can probably buy one.
I'm surprised Amazon doesn't accept Bitcoin.
You know,
I think it's trying to.
If Amazon had accepted Bitcoin, I would have kept buying Bitcoin. I think. I mean, that was my thing. It's like because John and I even talked about toyed around with the idea of offering to pay developers with Bitcoin at one time. We were really thinking about going whole hog, full investment in Bitcoin. Went to a couple of Bitcoin meetups, and there are people out there that's their whole industry is Bitcoin. They pay in Bitcoin, they get paid in Bitcoin, and everything they do is in Bitcoin. And they made some really good arguments as to why that is and the benefits of it. But then it all tapered off, and we kind of pulled back from it a little bit and lost interest. But man, I tell you what, it's piqued my interest again.
Until it comes crashing back down.
Yeah, so I read something that along the lines that if you had invested $1,000 3 years ago, your Bitcoin wallet would be worth $7 million today.
No, that can't be right. That's $7 million.
Yeah, a few years ago it was less than $100. So you'd have 10 coins. Well, not 7 million then.
Yeah, it still wouldn't be 7 million.
Well,
if you go back more than a few years, go back when it was like a couple of dollars a coin.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you've seen it. I'm not sure if you guys have seen it, but Mr. Robot's promotion team is pushing eCoin pretty hard these days.
How's this?
I think we'll see. There's an actual eCoin for eCorp.
So what caused this spike? Because there's usually something that causes the spike. Is it Trump? What's causing this latest
Probably.
spike?
Probably market uncertainty around the world.
Yeah. So I mean, the whole thing is like the stock market, right? It's the value of the Bitcoin goes up and down, and I mean one aspect of it is kind of like playing the stock market.
It is actually a money market. If you want to buy Bitcoin, you have to buy into the money market. And you were talking about watching video game streamers. I came across this fascinating new stream. Did you guys ever see Twitch Plays Pokemon?
Nope.
Twitch, the streaming service Twitch?
Yeah.
Play Pokemon. I don't know what you mean. Plays Pokemon.
So
what do you mean?
Someone hooked up the Twitch chat room into a emulated controller and allowed the chat to choose what the Pokemon character was going to do and how the game would be played. So the chat would decide as a group, move up, move left, use Pikachu, use electric shock, use this item.
Hmm.
So,
No,
and
I
they
am
ended
not
up
aware of that.
thousands and thousands of people simultaneously just typing out commands, ended up beating the game in, I believe, a couple weeks. Well, someone has taken this idea and invested $50,000 of their own money into it. And Twitch is now playing the stock market.
What do you mean?
So it's called StockStream, twitch.com/StockStream. And anyone can hop in and start sending commands to a market bot, which evaluates the command, turns it into a directive, votes on the directive, and then makes a purchase or sale based on that directive.
What? Wait, I
Really?
don't. You just type any random command in there?
You type, for example, buy Coke. Coke is the ticker symbol for Coca-Cola.
Mm-hmm.
Buy AMD, buy NVIDIA, buy Cost, which is Costco. So people are just telling it what to buy and what to sell, and it does it and publishes the results in a live stream on Twitch. And he put $50,000 in, and let's see, at the opening of markets today, he was up $220.
So this is actually in real world buying stocks for this guy.
Real world buying stocks. He's got it set up so that all the investments are scrolling on the screen. There's a stock ticker at the top of the screen.
He's crowdsourced his day trading, huh?
Exactly.
Wow.
And he's got
Ballsy.
news showing up on the screen. It's amazing. And I don't think I've seen him dip negative yet.
That is ballsy.
It is ballsy. Now, he's got outs on the whole thing. So he has a loss limit that he'll take before the system shuts down. But at this point, it's a wholly automated system.
Is he a coder? I mean, who's the person doing it?
I actually don't have any idea about who it is doing it.
Oh, okay. No worries.
Not looking at that.
Hey, I picked you up something, Thomas. I picked you up something at Tech.
Ooh. What'd you get me?
I picked you up some OSMI stickers. I think I have them in here. Yeah, here we go. Look, I bought you some open source and mental health stickers. I know you're a fan.
Sweet.
I know you're a fan of that group there, so I think
Yitzhak Wilroth. That's his group.
Huh?
Ed Finkler.
Code Rabbi.
No. Ed Finkler.
I thought Code Rabbi was doing something with that group as well.
Yeah, no.
He may be supporting it.
We had
very nice.
Yeah. It was a focal point of the conference. They were doing, they recently became a complete charity. John, what is that?
501c3.
501c3. So they have a big pledge drive or fundraiser or whatever going on.
And we actually did our part today and donated a small fortune to him.
Nice.
So yeah, Diego Dev are official contributors to open source mental illness. So yeah.
Well, I've got some. You want to do some quick news? Just some rapid breakdowns.
If we need to.
Sure.
Is it PHP related?
Yeah.
No. What?
So the RFCs for PHP 7.2 are starting to come out, and one of them is generic types and functions. So this is a complicated one. This is beyond what PHP has done before. Now, it's not something that couldn't be done in PHP, but it was in an ungraceful fashion. So what it will do is it'll allow you additional type hints for classes and class traits and objects, and bring PHP even closer to the elite languages, the stuff that we always seem to get compared to anyways.
Interesting. Okay, so I'm not sure. Did you follow any of the drama this week on visual debt and reducing visual debt in PHP?
I've heard nothing about it.
Oh, well, then you don't follow the right people on Twitter. I guess I didn't care enough about it to get too involved. I am starting to formulate a little bit of an opinion about this, but I guess Jeffrey Way did a small video on Laracast. I haven't seen it. And he talked about reducing visual debt in code. And that set off a whole Twitter storm about good coding practices, whether type hinting was something that was needed in PHP. And type hinting is really becoming, type hinting in PHP is really becoming a tabs versus spaces war in our community. I mean, and I can see both sides of it. There are people who are adamantly for it, saying that it's good coding practices. It helps to ensure certain values are being passed correctly. And then the other side of it is, and what also makes complete sense to me is, we're not a compiled language. Type hinting does nothing for us. I mean, if an error is going to get caught, it's going to get caught the exact same way in the exact same place. It'd be different if we were a compiled language where we sent our code through a compiler, and the compiler could use type hinting to realize that things are not coded correctly, but we don't.
But we use type hinting for way more than that. I mean, we use it for our IDEs use it, and it'd be pointless not to have it.
I use it for my junior devs.
It would be pointless not to have it? I'm not sure I follow that statement.
So by having the type hinting, I get a lot of auto completion. I get a lot of benefit in my IDE because of those type hints.
Mm-hmm. So that is you adding code to your code base so that your tool is more powerful. Yeah, you see the problem with that?
No, not at all.
It's not a benefit. It's not a benefit to your code. The only thing you're doing is
not a detriment to my code either, though.
Well, the argument.
I see what you mean about tabs versus spaces.
Yeah, I mean the argument is that it's unuseful code. The code isn't doing anything for you.
Well, that's bullshit.
It's visual debt. It's visual debt is
but that's not true.
Type hinting. It is true.
No, absolutely not. If I download a library and I have 3 hours to implement it, and it's been type hinted all over the place, I'm saving myself hours of searching around. So for example, when I pull up a library I've never used before, say IronQ, and it has a method that has a request variable as its only argument, there's nothing I can do to find out what that request variable can be except for search a list of implementations of that method. Or if it has type hinting, I can find what it's type hinted to be. It's type hinted to be a Laravel request object. And I know right then what it can be, what it can do, and how I can extend it.
And one of our clients has a habit of putting member records and contact records and organization records in a table called user. So if I had a variable come in as a parameter called user, I don't know if it's a member object, a contact object, an organization object. So by having that type hinting, I know what I'm getting or what I'm expecting and can work with it.
Right. It's like saying that tests aren't useful because tests aren't actually your code. Tests are just other code that make sure your code is running correctly according to parameters that you have assumed are correct.
So what about the hinting? So I get the argument you guys are making, and I'm playing devil's advocate here. I kind of lean more towards implementing type hinting. I personally like it, but again, playing devil's advocate. What do you guys feel? So the arguments you guys are making as far as type hinting, as far in relations to objects, make a ton of sense. Probably the strongest argument for type hinting. But how do you feel about type hinting as far as like the returns? Like, hey, this return is going to be a string, or this value should be a string, or
Sure,
an init.
absolutely. Because
is it the same argument for you? Or?
No, the criticism of PHP that you'll find all over the place is that it is a loosely typed language, and that loosely typed languages have inherent flaws. I eliminate some of those inherent flaws by not treating it as a loosely typed language anymore.
But but you don't eliminate them; they're still there. I mean, how are you eliminating them?
When I'm dealing with numbers, I do eliminate them. I cast two integers.
Oh, that's not type hinting though. That's casting.
Right, but I want to know what it is I'm getting and dealing with, and there are strange scenarios where you're doing percentages or multiplication or division where your number format can really matter.
Mm-hmm.
And when you cast a number, it will make sure that it gets processed correctly. And when you're told that you're being returned a number and you don't cast it and you try to use it wrong, you can throw warnings for that in PHP Storm.
The argument being made though is that those errors are still going to only get caught at runtime. Like there's no compiling happening. There's no engine that's going to catch it for you and let you know this is a problem.
But with the type hinting, I catch more of those errors at authoring time than runtime would, which reduces my overhead in programming time.
Mm-hmm. So your argument is the benefit that it adds to, let's say, your IDE, because that seems to be what we keep coming back to, is the benefit that it adds to your IDE. That strength alone is enough of an argument to promote type hinting in your code. Which is a fine argument. Yeah. I mean,
not just that, but if I want to quickly implement a new library and I don't want to have to go through the code and see what it's returning, I want my IDE to do it for me, then I know that it's returning something cast as a string or it's something as an object. Do promote Vim is that 2 keystrokes is faster than tabbing to a different window and clicking something or stuff like that. These minuscule optimizations that when you do it 1,000 times a day can make up a huge amount of time. When I'm writing my code, I'm going 1 tab back and forth between my IDE, my browser, and very often my inspect mode on my browser. Right? So every time I don't have to do a tab over to my browser and hit F5 and refresh the page is time saved. And yeah, it's very, very little time once a day, but I probably do it 10,000 times a day.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think this idea of visual debt where it's overwhelming to look at is appealing to the baser levels of PHP's user base, the people who think it's too complicated.
No, actually, that a lot of that is coming from the groups in the Laravel community is where I see it mentioned the most. Taylor, Jeffrey, Matt, all those guys talk about it's if there's a need for it and the value of it. A lot of the PHP developers, and I saw it a lot at Tech last week, type hinting is just becoming a way of life. Even on the returns, Sammy K did a talk, and he was showing some code, and I mean, type hinting was just how the code was structured. It wasn't even a topic. It was just how it was done.
Yeah, it's just what they were doing.
Right. So it's
and the excuse that this isn't a compiled language is a poor excuse, because if we ever want to be a compiled language, guess what we're going to have? So if
I
you want to,
I don't think it's a poor excuse, and I don't ever see PHP becoming a compiled language. But yeah, it's
you have no vision,
I think it's a valid excuse. I mean, I understand what they're saying. The issue I have with it most of the time is, if you want to take that stance, then any bad coding practice can have that same argument. Let's just code out our entire SQL string again, because it's easier to read than trying to use something like Eloquent, because you can see what the SQL statement is. And I mean, we have a long history of bad coding practices, and I think we're just getting to a point in our language and our maturity where we have some reputable practices now. And I think these are good arguments, because these are very high level niche arguments of a coding language that suffered some really bad black eyes in the past on the way we did things. And so these little niche conversations on things that are specific as type hinting and the pros and cons to it and whether we should be doing it, I think are great conversations to have. I get worried that certain people get offended, I always get the impression that there's certain people in the community that want to go against the grain and make a comment and then act all offended when people try to correct them. It's like, oh, type hinting is not really that useful. And then they get a bunch of replies. Yes, it is. Here's why. Oh, everybody wants to attack me because I feel like this. And it's like, listen, don't just try to rough. I think the overall community is trying to up its game, and this is one approach they're doing it by trying to standardize that this is a good practice. And when people high in the community kind of rock that boat, yeah, of course you're going. There's going to be some backlash from that.
Interesting.
Yeah, my experience on the internet as a whole, whenever I voice my opinion on something I like, is people telling me why I'm wrong.
That's because you're normally wrong.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think we can all agree on that.
But why open yourself up for it, though? Why not? Why not just be quietly wrong?
I just queued up the Larrycast video. I'm gonna check that out. I want to see what he has to say.
I haven't seen it yet. So I should have watched it, but I didn't realize we were going to talk about this today. This is what this show is about. This
you brought it up.
I love this. I'm telling you, I love this. This is what the show is about. I wish we did more of these sort of conversations. Real developers talking about real things. What? He's back on the Trello board, isn't he?
Let's go back to my other story. Let's go back to my other story.
It's too late. It's already moved.
No.
What was your other story?
My fig story.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. What was up with your fig story?
Who did you offend?
So Chuck Reeves tweeted out and overheard, because I said it in Slack, overheard, if we are going the way of PSR compliance, then I will just state that they are wrong and do it their way anyway. So there was in this client's project, we're trying to go more PSR compliant. And one of my personal sticking points is with the exclamation point in an if block, right? If not this. Mm-hmm. I in general hate spaces in parameter lists or anywhere else. But when it comes to that stupid little exclamation point, I like to have a space on either side of it. So if parentheses space, exclamation point space. There's been countless times where I've missed that stupid exclamation point as I'm reading the code.
You realize the visual debt you create by doing that.
Yes.
Those two extra spaces.
And to me, it just makes it blatantly obvious that you meant not this, right? Because if I'm reading it quick and I miss that, then I'm not understanding what the code's doing. And I was overruled because PSR says no spaces.
I think you hit on the core of the problem right there, John. You're bad at your job.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what happened?
I try to avoid exclamations in my conditionals, generally speaking, anyways.
Try to, but
Yeah, you still have to. You still have to. I use them more than I use the else statement.
I think
So
you
what
should.
happened,
You
Chuck?
should.
What happened though? So somebody replied to you, or
no, I said it in Slack, and then the new guy in the team said, I'm gonna tweet that out to the Fig group. I'm like, so go for it. So he did.
I'm telling.
I'm gonna tell on you.
It's always nice when you can tell on your boss.
No, definitely not a boss.
So I've had this in my bookmark list for a couple weeks,
That's
and I
old
haven't
news.
had the
Fake
chance to
news.
take a shot at it. But Git katas. No, you know code
Okay.
katas, right?
John's a big code kata guy. I'm not. I don't care for code kata so much.
Well, this is the same thing. It's an exercise program for your intellectual interests, and this one is based on Git, and it has a list of Git tasks that are good to know and lessons on how to execute them and test them and play with them. For example, a three-way merge, a bad commit
baby.
rewind, committing on the wrong branch, Git investigations, resetting, squashing, submodules, which is one I really need to look into.
I've got to get my head around rebasing and squashing commits. I am horrible. I'm that guy who will commit every hour just to save point, commit, save point. I've got to get my head, and I know JMac from Laravel Shift mentioned that he has a free video out there specifically on rebase and squashing commits.
It's so easy. I thought we've talked about it 100 times.
We have, and I don't remember. I always
yes,
forget
I
it. I can't. I can't retain that knowledge.
Well, we'll do it again next time we're together. It's easy.
I know. I've got to do.
Some modules is easy too.
And what else I've got to get out of the habit of is when I'm doing all these commits, and PHP Storm just makes this too easy. Although honestly, I did it when I used Fugitive and Vim as well. Is I'm constantly doing these commits, but then I push it, which I think screws up the whole squashing practice.
Yes,
right,
yes,
John?
yes, and no. It depends on if you are sure of what's happening on the other end. So if you're pushing up to your GitHub repo and you're sure nobody else is using it, you can you could squash and force push. I do that.
Oh, okay. All right.
It becomes an issue. It becomes an issue if somebody upstream is using your branch for something, and then
I've always worked on branches where no one is using the branch I'm using. I don't have to worry about it. But now that I'm taking over the IronQ project, rebasing and squashing is a much bigger deal for what I want to do. So I have to be much more careful, which is why I've started looking into these things.
Yes,
GitHub
John,
you
missed it. John, you missed the last show. Thomas is an official member of the Laravel Collective now. He has open source projects he's responsible for. So all hell is going to be breaking loose.
Have you gotten any death threats yet?
Not yet.
Then you're not a true open source maintainer.
Yeah,
I have
get off my
trying hard enough.
There was somebody when the project got abandoned. There was somebody who took over the project and on their own fork. And I sent them an email saying, "Hey, the project's alive again. Do you want to merge your stuff back in?" And his response was, "Well, I would, but then aren't we maintaining two different code branches with identical code?" And I thought to myself, how do I reply to this without sounding like an asshole? It's, well, yes, but you're still a fork of the original branch, not the original branch, even if you say I took it over.
Mm-hmm.
So
All right, we're at an hour.
fight's
Come on,
there.
you want to try to blow through? I enjoy the development talk. So if we want to skip over, go ahead.
Absolutely not, Eric. How do you quit Vim?
Just
1 million people want to know.
You shut down your computer. Duh. I don't understand why this is so difficult for people to get. I mean,
because
what?
Because it's not a programming thing. It's a Linux thing.
It's man.
Stack Overflow celebrated helping 1 million developers exit Vim. So there's their post about how to quit Vim.
I don't know how to exit Emacs. How can people not have that problem? The few times I've gotten into Emacs, I don't know how to get out of it. But Vim is very simple.
What about Pico? I get into Pico and I get so lost.
Q.
PHP Storm.
The problem is that Vim has been the default for Linux for a long, long, long time.
And it's not hard to exit Vim. But I mean, seriously,
it was hard to find out how to exit Vim.
No, it wasn't.
If you go back to when you first started, it was. I have to agree. This actually got brought up that too. Somebody posted the same slide and was talking about how it was just a milestone.
It is. It's the year of the Linux desktop.
Maybe you're right. I don't remember.
You've been doing Vim too long.
Yeah, I don't remember it ever being a problem.
To be fair, Eric has a custom configuration where he has to do a rain dance to close Vim, so it's not even the same thing.
This is true. You know what? I'm going to have my daughter open up a Vim terminal and see how she closes it. It's been so long for me. I can't get in the mindset to me, but I'm going to have her.
That's easy. She closes the terminal.
But you don't tell her. See, what happens is you run a command on Linux, and all of a sudden it drops you into a Vim document, or it opens Vim to do something. Kind of like doing a git commit. All of a sudden Vim's open. And you're like, I don't know what to do. So that's what you got to do is start it up and then ask her, how do you quit?
Yeah. Why does it output Shakespeare when I press the down arrow?
She won't be able to do it.
I might do that just to experience that again, because it's hard for me to get my head around.
So the FCC is in the process of gutting and murdering net neutrality, and all the GOP lawmakers are taking their stance on why net neutrality is bad. But it turns out that the talking points they're using were actually sent to them by the cable companies as suggested talking points, and they're just using them verbatim.
Why does this surprise anybody?
Yeah, there's nothing to say about that other than, yeah, of course. Of course they're not on something they don't understand.
Our government is continuing to fail us.
Yeah. Well, at the same time, though, you remember there were a bunch of fake negative entries about net neutrality on the FCC open communication dialogue thing they set up. Well, somebody found out that Comcast is behind this campaign, and they're using names and email addresses of people that they find on the internet.
Comcast,
so you can go
the cable provider? Hold up.
Yes.
This is a pretty serious accusation you're making here. You're saying Comcast,
I'm not making it.
The cable provider.
I'm repeating it from a very unreputable source.
You're on probably the biggest podcast in the PHP community. We're huge. We're the biggest.
Huge.
We're massive. And you're
we're very, very, very big.
Attacking. You're personally attacking Comcast, which is probably one of the biggest internet providers in this great country of ours. It's great again, I've been told.
So
go
that's
ahead.
why Comcast is being used as the namesake for this project, is because Comcast is the biggest in America. They're the ones with the most vested interest in removing net neutrality rules. So somebody set up a website that actually searches the faked comments, and you can enter in your full name and see if a fake comment has been entered in your name. And if it has, then you can submit an opinion change to the FCC. But that's all you can do at this point, is just say, that wasn't my opinion, this is my real opinion.
So I'm sorry, I did cut you off on your story a little bit. The original story is Comcast had some sort of bot or something running that was submitting.
Somebody had a bot that was submitting anti-net neutrality comments on the open comment page, and they were using stolen names to submit them to seem legitimate.
How did this become a Comcast thing?
Because Comcast is the big bad guy. Just because.
There are lots of Eric Johnsons. This is why I go by Eric Van Johnson, just so you guys know. Eric Johnson is a very common
just so
name.
Comcast knows. I have good
this
news.
Is horrible. Oh, I don't know how to handle that statement, Thomas.
Printer companies are notorious for their attempts to use DMCA to prevent users from buying cheaper cartridge refills.
Mm-hmm.
And Lexmark had lost enough cases that they were able to take their case all the way to the Supreme Court. Now, this is refills for toner cartridges, so more on the corporate scale than the user scale. However, the Supreme Court explained in its closing statement that when a patent owner chooses to sell an item, that product is no longer within the limits of the monopoly and instead becomes the private individual property of the purchaser with the rights and benefits that come along with ownership.
Oh, that's a dangerous statement. I mean, it's a good statement for us consumers, but that goes against everything people like Apple have been saying, and car manufacturers are now starting to say.
It goes one further than that even. So I'm going to quote here. I'm quoting the EFF.org. The court also rejected the argument raised perennially by rights holders that they are entitled to profit via the business model of their choosing, even if that business model requires an expansive reading of the patent or copyright monopoly they enjoy. That when the terms of use say that this can be revoked at any time, that also no longer applies. They're not allowed to make a business model in a giant document that you're forced to read before buying something. So this whole air quotes of buying that we have lived in for 10 years now with iTunes and that type of service is in jeopardy, where we actually might own all rights to what we've purchased.
I say in jeopardy for the companies. It's actually a benefit to us consumers.
Huge benefit to consumers. And they go so far as
iTunes library is safe now. Do you remember that Bruce Willis got into a big panty bunch thing because he wanted to will his iTunes library to his children, and Apple's kind of like, no, you can't actually do that. You don't actually own the music; it's ours. And Bruce Willis is like, no, I spent a lot of money. I own the music. You're like, no, you really don't. You need to read your terms.
Right. Well, this could have implications that digital goods rights, are actually far greater extended than we previously expected, including the right to resale things like ebooks or music.
Interesting.
So the fact that they put a restriction in their terms of service, or even enforce it with a service that verifies authenticity, might come into question with this Supreme Court ruling. So
Wow.
there are huge implications in this case. The biggest one being that if you are in a lower court of law, you can argue that this is a closed issue with the Supreme Court. So it's not a constitutional right, which means that you don't, you're still on the defending yourself side of things. However, in a lower court, you could point to this decision by the Supreme Court and say, look, this is already a settled case. It fits under this decision by the Supreme Court, and the judge will probably drop the case.
Mm.
So there's some really big implications from this ruling.
Mm.
Now,
All
as
right.
with all things, as with all things legal, God knows what the actual end result's going to be. It
The
could
end
be
result's going to be
completely destroyed.
The consumer's going to lose. We're going to lose that. That's what the end result's going to be. It's always the end result.
Welcome to Eric's doom and gloom corner.
Yeah, I've given up on hope with this stuff. I tell you, it's been a hard life.
we are living in a post-cyberpunk reality.
Yeah. All right. We got 2 more stories here, but we're at about hour 12 right now. Do we want to try to push through these,
Right.
or
No, I'll save them. We'll save them. Some doom and gloom for next week.
a little doom and gloom for upcoming episodes?
Look forward to.
You need to get stickers made, Thomas. Doom and gloom. A lot of people like your doom.
I don't
and
know
gloom.
how to get. I only know one person who knows how to get stickers made.
No, he knows how to get pins made.
Exactly. I don't know how to do it. I do it wrong, apparently.
Yeah,
And
he knows how to
the
get pins made out of stickers.
All right. Then we're gonna call
I can't
this.
believe you're not on a
show.
gaming PC. We're not calling it yet.
Why
are
are we
we
not
calling
calling it? What?
I thought we were gonna do like the wind down chit chat, the third act of The View.
Have we ever done a wind down chit chat?
We always end up
this.
doing
It usually results with one of us crying in the corner somewhere.
Yeah, me, because you're mean.
No, it's
Just
John.
the 4th hour
always
of the day show.
I want to go to bed. I want to go to bed. John, how you feeling?
All right. Thanks for asking. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
What have you been working on?
I don't work. I sit here and watch poker videos.
That's why. So our little co-working meetup that we have going on is it's like
Cramping my style.
fun day of my week now. But John doesn't like it because then he's on point to actually work. Everybody's watching him. It's funny. John sits down and everybody huddles around John. They want to see what he's working on. They want to talk to him. Everybody's all like buddy with
It
John.
smells good too.
That's very debatable. But excuse me, we did have a new guy join us today, and I got to help him get XDebugs working.
Oh, I meant to ask if you got that working for him. So I heard you guys talking. What was weird about his setup where you were asking him why is he doing it that way?
I was just curious. He was using MAMP, and I was wondering if there was a reason he was doing that versus Vagrant or Docker.
Okay.
He was on a Windows machine, and I wanted to throw my hands up in the air when it came to XDebug and just how to make sure things were set up correctly. And it's always hard when you're telling somebody else what to do and what to type. So I'm sitting there trying to walk him through the steps, and let's look at the configuration. And I'm so used to doing PHP-I pipe grep for something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wait, Windows, you can't grep. I don't know, I'm out. But it just so happened
that was the question you asked too, right? The grep question. Yeah. John,
it's
John
so long since I've been on Windows.
He's like, how do you grep on Windows? I wanted to look at him for a second. I'm like, what do you mean? You're typing the word grep. I'm like, oh no, I see the problem. Yeah, you're right. That doesn't work, does it?
Now, get this though. I actually have a 3-step solution for this. You download the Git for Windows package. You make sure when you install it that you choose the Git terminal, and you launch the Git terminal and do everything as if you were in Linux.
All right. So
Oh yeah, that has all the tools.
It's got everything you need.
Go ahead,
that's
John.
interesting. So it just so happens within the past week or two, I learned about the PHP --RI command, so you can look at the configuration for a specific module. So I was finally able to figure out. I was finally able to look at the
--RI.
Yeah, so if you do PHP space --RI space xdebug, for example, it'll show you just your configuration for xdebug.
Look at that!
You've killed him.
I
So-
never knew of this.
So we run that in. It says cannot load PHP xdebug.dll. I'm like, fuck, we're in DLL world. So I start asking him more questions, and he ends up in the modules directory. I'm like, wait, why is there PHP xdebug DLL and PHP xdebug _old.dll? Well, I was talking to somebody and this and that. Got rid of
That's how it starts.
Got rid of the new one, renamed the old one back to what it was supposed to be, and everything started working.
Did you know there's a --ini as well?
Well, that's the same thing as dash. That's the same thing as -i, right? PHP -i gives you the full.
Well, no,
the full deal.
-i dumps what the ini file is, right?
What is that?
--ini tells you what ini files you're using.
Oh.
But there's also there are others though. Dude, there are others. There's --rf, rc, re. What? I never knew of all these little commands.
I just
nice.
use Blackfire.
How's
That would have been
Blackfire?
another option. It's just
easy
saying
to
instead
install.
of xdebug.
It's got an installer.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
On Windows?
Yeah.
It works with Storm. Does it work in Vim?
Is he
Hello, is
not talking
this
to you?
thing on?
He's not talking to you anymore.
Hello?
My mic went out.
He's like, I don't know.
This
So,
is awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, the co-working Thursdays has been fun, and we may have got a new client out of today. That was nice.
We may have gotten a new client. Yeah, that's always a benefit.
I'll be there in September.
You got XDebug. You'll be here in September. Why are you going to be here in September,
I don't know.
John? We have to find a conference to go to in September.
Oh, jeez.
We're already going to one.
In September?
Yeah.
I don't think there is a conference. What are we going to in September?
Oh my gosh, just roll with it. Damn it.
You don't have to actually be at a conference to tell me you're at a conference and sorry you're out of town.
Jeez. I just got to make sure I'm not missing stuff. So we did have, and this happened before, but my wife and I did have our wedding anniversary while I was in Atlanta. So she celebrated it when she went out with some guy. They had a good time. Yeah,
Nice.
no, another wedding anniversary, and we spent apart. So that was nice. John had his family there. It was an emotional moment for him. Me, I was by myself. I even went down once. I knocked on his door. I'm like, hey, kind of hungry. You want to go grab some dinner? He's like, nah, really, it's family time, and you're not family. You should leave. And I'm like,
Was he alone in the hotel room when he said that too?
Yep.
The rest of the
My
family
wife-
was out at a ball game.
They were downtown. My kid absolutely loves Eric. He was at the community night and
His
just
brain's not fully developed.
It was like I wasn't there. It was. I could have like just left, and Grayson would have been super happy.
I'll kidnap that kid from you.
I saw him.
You learn to juggle
saw
a
him-
couple balls, and kids are just fascinated by you.
Yeah.
You're like a god.
I've done that in front of him 1,000 times, and yet you do it, and he's like, "Uncle Eric, yay!"
I saw him get really excited about throwing a frisbee into a fence today, so I would say he might be easily amused.
Frisbee into a fence. That was awesome. Your Facebook video. I actually logged.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. A disc.
It was a disc into a goal, not a
A disc. A chain link goal.
I can't tell you.
I'm using all the wrong terminology.
So usually he stands literally against the thing and throws it up into the goal. And a couple days ago, I tried convincing him to stand up on his little train track thing there and throw it towards it, and he refused. So, not last night, but the night before, after work, I go out, and my wife is sitting on the ground near the slider, and she goes, "You're gonna love this." And I kind of peek around the corner outside, and he's standing up there, just getting ready to throw, and almost fell and busted his head, but it was a.
I was gonna say, in the video that you shared, he did almost fall down, which would have made the video 100 times funnier.
It might have gone viral at that point.
Yeah.
So before that video, that train track that he was standing on was on cement, and that's where he did it first. And he fell, but he didn't fall all the way to the ground. So we're like, maybe we should move that over to the grass. And then he started draining shots left and right. I was like, oh my gosh. Made me so happy.
Draining shots.
He was like from downtown.
I love that you're grooming your son to be the lowest paid professional athlete ever.
No, there's lower.
It may take off at some point. You don't know.
All
right.
That's true. It's getting more popular in Colorado here for unknown reasons.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything. Hey, my dad got his pot card last week. Finally.
How's that working out?
This, right?
Yeah.
Well, now we have to start the process of my sister getting her caregiver card. So Dad doesn't. I mean, he can't leave the house. I mean, he can, but it's this big production to get him to leave the house, and so my sister has to apply to be his caregiver, so that she can go to a dispensary and get him some samples and stuff. So it's not anything yet, but we're one step closer.
Yeah, we're turning your sister into the heathen she doesn't want to be.
No, she wants to be.
Yep. No, they're having all sorts of internal struggles with this, but I'm hoping they get over it. So
that's what family's for. Hey sis, I got Dad a pot card. Can you go get him some weed? I would, but I'm just in California. Oh, jeez.
All right, that's it. I'm done. I'm done talking to you guys. You guys are not productive on any level. So
after the opening, the show got great. Then we got into news. It kind of dipped, and then this last part I thought was great.
Sound bits. Here we go. Drum roll.
We organized.
There we go. That's for. We're gonna play a little dramatic piano on the outro. This has been episode 63 of PHP Ugly. That's awesome. I need to actually get the real outro music going so I can kind of put it in here because Thomas never does it correctly. Oh, did I say that wrong?
I'm bad at
it.
You say that every single week, and you still won't tell me how to do it correctly. You won't tell me how.
All you have to do is listen to one of the shows that's done correctly, and you would know.
Oh yeah, no. All you gotta do is climb the mountain.
This weekend, you let me know when you're editing, and I'll tell you how I want the outro.
Stop hitting the desk. Stop hitting the desk.
Why? You're not editing this thing. Holy crap. Stop moving.
Wow, you shook your whole desk. Man doesn't know his own strength.
That was
No,
that
he
was
sh-
a
I
two
felt that
knuckle.
here. He shook all
knuckles.
San Diego.
Imagine what a whole fist would do.
God, you'd ruin
Oh
her.
my god! Can we finish this episode now?
All right, that's it. I'm done. This has been episode 63 of PHP Ugly. I'm Eric Van Johnson.
I'm Tom Rideout.
And I'm John Congdon.
Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly.
Do I have to say that too?
No,
I'll
not
just-
now. No, it's good.
No, it's the time
it
has
beautiful.
passed.
All right, stop recording. Stop recording.
Keep
Stop
on,
broadcasting.
keep it on. Hold on, wait for me 1 second.